A Secret Society Guide. Chapter 1. Hidden Government, World Government. A Shadow Government 1. The idea is that we have elections for show. It doesn't really matter who gets in. They're a figurehead or a puppet. Notice it in our presidents and heads of state. They get up there and read stuff that somebody else wrote. They're public relations people. I watched a documentary about Waco, Texas. The U.S. federal agencies attacked the Branch Davidian complex with tanks that had battering rams on them on April 19, 1993. The building burned down. About 90 people died. The FBI and other agencies were quick to say it was mass suicide. They showed a clip of the new president, Bill Clinton, making a speech the next day. He said they were a bunch of extremists. The federal agencies did a good job stopping them. He was a puppet. He was reduced to a mouthpiece. Anybody with a brain knew it was the aggressive acts of the federal agencies that caused the deaths of those people. How much can a president do versus what the people around him tell him to do? Obama said he wanted to build a high-speed train, a brain institute, etc. How many of his ideas aim to pass? They don't let presidents see their top-secret stuff. If I remember correctly, the American Congress first voted to reject the financial industry bailout in 2009. They changed a few things, paid 30 or so congressmen off, and 3 months later, it passed. If a bill is voted down, it's supposed to be a done deal until at least the next election. Who was behind that? Lots of pop culture movies imply that there are some big, bad meanies hiding in the shadows, controlling the world, killing any innocent people that get in the way. I saw one called State of Play, then I saw Shooter. The old corrupt senator said, "There's only haves and have-nots." Of course there are the Born Identity movies. There are lots of movies like this. They keep making movies about invisible forces beyond the government trying to control the world. If you follow politics, you soon realize there is no accountability to the will of the people. They do what they want. They have the power to spin anything. On top of that, they have the power of time. They can betray the people in the first 3 years of an administration, then in the 4th year, they can spin it and throw some money around to make themselves look like great guys. Back in the early 2000s, there was big opposition in some countries against joining the European Union. How did they overcome that? People aren't that flippant that they change their minds overnight. I remember seeing massive protests against joining the EU, then the next I know, it passes. Are there big hots who buy politicians and manipulate media coverage, because they own the media companies, in order to protect their own interests? Are there people in big business who think they are above elections, who finance the charade of elections by making deals with emerging big-shot politicians? We give you money and positive press coverage, or we destroy you with negative press coverage and this dirt we got on you when you were smoking crack and having unprotected sex with cross-dressing street hookers. Just do us the few favors we need from time to time. It's that simple. Shadow government is the idea of a confederation of business tycoons, political leaders, big bankers, military equipment manufacturers, major media moguls and a few others who get together and decide whose campaign to fund in the major countries in order to get a puppet elected who will be indebted to them and do as he or she is told. We had an American president win the Nobel Peace Prize, then a few years later, he says, "I'm really good at killing people, I'm fucking amazing at killing people." Progressive.org/latest/Obama-brags-really-good-killing-people, November 4, 2013. Any sane philosopher king politician would eliminate the military and say we're focusing on what's going on within our own borders. The way to smash these alleged secret societies and shadow governments is creating a system of online voting where people both create ideas and vote on them one by one. That's true democracy. A shadow government 2. The deeper level of government is called the shadow government. Some people claim it doesn't exist. There are people at high levels in the modern Western governments that do whatever they want and don't listen to anyone. They will lie publicly if they have to talk to the president, the media, or some committee, but that's part of the game. Lie, then go back to your shadow operations. There are people in the United States government obsessed with power and control, hiding out in big agencies like the military, the CIA, Homeland Security, the NSA, ICE, NASA, DARPA, etc., doing things to try to control the world that most of us have no idea about. President Eisenhower, a former military general, in his farewell speech in 1961 before President JFK took over, warned about not letting the military-industrial complex run amok and take control of the government. The original draft of his speech read the Congressional Military-Industrial Complex, but his advisors told him take the word congressional out of it. Politicians and political parties run the public face of government, but these shadow elements have their own agendas. Some have intentions to control the entire human race as much as they can. The most basic rule of Machiavellianism is to control as much as you can by any means necessary. If they're out to help the people, they would not be not hiding. Is there a group within the government financial agencies that manipulates the economy at will to serve their own ends? Can they shrink the money supply to cause economic depressions? Is there a group within the government military security agencies that wants total control over the people? What would happen if someone wanted to eliminate the military and the CIA? Would they end up like JFK? Secret societies trying to rule the world. 1. There are two possibilities for secret groups trying to rule the world. Greedy mortal human beings who want the power and money for themselves just because they're rotten. A group of people and beings belonging to a supernatural satanic group of people that hail back to the fallen angels in the Bible, who spawned a race of hybrids called the Nephilim in Genesis 6:1-4 when they had sex with human women. Many people believe this group of Satanist people and beings are still here trying to take over the world. Some people call them archons. Paul said they had no eye to see, no ear to hear, and no heart to imagine that Jesus was who he claimed to be. If they had, they would not have crucified the Lord. 1 Corinthians 2:8. They are the chief priests, archieres, and rulers, archont, who delivered Jesus up to the sentence of death and they crucified him. Luke 24:20. The ruler, archontat, of the power of the air, the spirit who is now at work in the sons of disobedience. Ephesians 2:2. Beelzebul, the prince, archonti, of the demons. Luke 11:15. Back in the day before the internet, the only thing available for alternative ideas besides obscure books was talk radio. Some places had alternative talk radio stations or programs. You could buy a shortwave radio for $30 and listen to cool people mostly on WWCR, which was worldwide Christian radio and sold radio space for $100 an hour. I listened to people like Chuck Harder, For the People's Network, Art Bell, Gene Scott, Bill Cooper, Jordan Maxwell, Eustace Mullins, Bill Jenkins, Tony Hilder, Hal Lindsey, and others. Most of them painted a picture of a few big organizations or secret societies running the world, which were the bankers represented by the Rothschild Bank, the Bank for International Settlements, and the City of London, which is the financial district of London, along with a small group of elitist organizations or groups like the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Club of Rome, the Committee of 300, the Vatican. A few of them hinted at either Lucifer and / or the Zionists controlling everything behind the scenes. Zionists are fake Jews descended from the former nation of Khazaria, which was once located around modern-day Ukraine. They have no blood ties to the Hebrew Jews of the Middle East. They are the people who started the Rothschild Bank and created the nation of Israel in 1948. The idea is that there is a network of evil supernatural satanic secret societies who are trying to take over planet Earth. They sacrifice children and eat them because it gives them power. It goes back to worshipping Baal in the Bible. They say that 10 tribes of Hebrews worshipped this satanic force. That's partially why God ordered his chosen Hebrews to kill some groups to the last child. Read the book of Joshua if you want to see some nasty stuff. I had religion classes all through Catholic school, but they never brought all that violent sacrifice, killing stuff from the Old Testament up. It's all in the Bible, but it's a big tedious book. A lot of nasty stuff is in there. There are stories from seeming credible sources of people claiming they saw demon-like beings conjured up. There is a story from Jordan Maxwell, who was a talk radio host in Las Vegas. A guy contacted him, told him he was a rich guy who ran an insurance company. Every year, he took his employees and their families for a vacation. This one particular year, they went camping in Colorado. They hiked up a hill. When they got to the top, they looked down and saw several people wearing robes walking around in a circle chanting. Suddenly a reptilian human-like being appeared in the middle of the circle. This being had telepathy. It looked up into the mountain where they were. In a flash, it was standing over them. They were all paralyzed. This being communicated to them, "I will let you go. Leave. Don't look back." The being disappeared. They took off. You can hear this story at the YouTube channel Alpha Zebra. Jordan Maxwell, Close Encounters and Other Stories, a Project Avalon interview with Bill Ryan. I've heard at least a dozen stories like that. Are there supernatural beings around who seem to want to control the entire human race? Secret societies trying to rule the world too? What is the evidence for a group of people trying to create a world government? The movie The Great Awakening by Mickey Willis, 2016 is mostly about communists trying to take over the world, but there is a little piece in there about Klaus Schwab and his World Economic Forum. Some astute reporters were able to find within World Economic Forum writings their arrogant diatribe about a transformation of the world by them, the elitists. They say we won't need democracies anymore. We will make the proper decisions for humanity. They implied that global warming and the pandemic are social engineering schemes to manipulate the people. Some people have done research and found articles dating back 30 or so years ago where these groups were trying to figure out ways to massively manipulate the people to some form of universal fear to control them. Global warming and the pandemic very easily mobilized a mass of people to act a certain way. Are these things real or fake? You can brainwash the people very quickly if you want to. It goes back to the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays in 1928. How do you get peaceful people living good lives to fight in a war? The movie Sergeant York with Gary Cooper is about an officer who visits pacifist York and convinces him it's righteous to fight in the war. How do you get people to turn on each other? Get a bunch of wearing masks, getting vaccinated, then tell them the unmasked and unvaccinated are a danger to them even though they're masked and vaccinated. I saw a YouTube video about masked people attacking unmasked people. Who exactly are these people who want to rule the world as one world government? We're not going to get Christian here and go to the Book of Revelation, but it talked about an Antichrist ruling the world 2000 years ago. Secret societies trying to rule the world 3. I listened to the website vigilante.tv made up of 20 or so content creators. It's entertaining to me. They think the way I think except for their love of cryptocurrency, which I think is another gold rush that will crash because the rulers of the world will not let a bunch of random people online replace real money. World powers took over Backpage.com through the U.S. Department of Justice, which was a haven for escorts. They took over Silk Road and Alphabet, two big online marketplaces for anything including recreational substances. For now, you're not going to fight government and get away with it with fanciful ideas of freedom. There is a group of people with worldwide power. Their bottom line is not the goodness of the human race. It's power and money for themselves. Ronald Bernard explains it as good as anybody, but you can't explain the whole thing in 2 hours. He got into the Bank for International Settlements, then he started talking about the intricacies of how they launder money to get past the regulators in every country. The worldwide bankers control the world by creating the money out of thin air through fractional reserve banking. They are able to get past the regulations to move money around wherever they want. People said they were born into satanic cults like John Todd, Jay Parker, and John Ramirez. They say Luciferians run the world, a group of evil human beings and supernatural beings descended from the fallen angels of biblical times who bred with human women and created a race of beings called the Nephilim. You can read this in the book of Genesis and the book of Enoch. Paul said this in Ephesians 6:12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Satanic beings that look like humans plus demons that look hideous or are invisible are alive on planet Earth seeking to take it over and enslave the human race according to some people plus the book of Revelation in the Bible. In the end, evil loses, but before then, humans will go through a lot of pain and suffering. The term synagogue of Satan is mentioned in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 of the Bible, referring to a cabal of evil people pretending to be Jews trying to hijack the church and humanity in general. Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple, Matthew 21:12-13, which are evil people pretending to be religious for their own ends. Where exactly in the Bible do they say that Satan exists? 2 Corinthians 11:14. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. Paul 6:12 says we're fighting a supernatural evil force. They talk about angels many times in the Bible. They are good spiritual beings fighting the bad spiritual beings, which are fallen angels or archons. Their children are called Nephilim, half human, half satanic being. See this video at the YouTube channel Warrior of Jesus Christ. Angels, demons, the Nephilim and the invisible world. Secret societies trying to rule the world. For Nathan Reynolds at youtube.com/@NathanReynolds, Nathan Reynolds, the Linen Railroad, seems sincere about his upbringing in a satanic cult. The emotion he displays is hard to fake. There is a girl speaking in German on one of the videos on the YouTube channel Warrior of Christ. She is crying, saying she watched them kill a child then eat it in front of her. You can fake a lot of things, but some things you can't fake. It goes back to ancient child sacrifice. They still do it because they think it gives them some kind of supernatural power. It's easy to discount this stuff and say it's all foolishness, but John Todd aka Lance Collins was saying in 1977 that he ultimately got orders from some big shot at some bank in Germany. He tells the story of his life on the John Todd Lance Collins YouTube channel. He was born into a cult, didn't know much about it, joined the military, killed an officer, whereupon some big shots got him out with an honorable discharge because of his satanic cult family. After this, he was ordered to New York City, where he was inducted into the cult and started working for them in New Mexico, running several businesses out of a building. During his work there, some big shot banker phoned him several times and gave him orders. This was before all this stuff hit the alternative media. It's not like people nowadays who can hear something then make up a story around it about themselves. He was talking about this stuff before there was barely anything out there about it. The satanic New World Order story seems to go back to ancient history, where some dark force was trying to enslave the human race. The evidence is in several ex-Satanists, ex-Illuminati members, and ex-Masons saying these several elitist groups are all parts of the same organization ruled by an evil supernatural Luciferian force trying to take over the human race. Secret societies trying to rule the world. 5. Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about the rise of the military-industrial complex in his farewell speech as American president in 1961. John Fitzgerald Kennedy said secret societies should not exist in a democracy. He said he was going to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces. He ordered the Department of Treasury to print its own money with no attachment to the privately run Federal Reserve. Several months later he was assassinated. Woodrow Wilson, the president who created the Federal Reserve and got America into World War I, said, "Some of the biggest men in the U.S. in the field of commerce and manufacturing are afraid of somebody, are afraid of something. They know there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete and so pervasive that they had better not ever speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. Is there a group of evil elitists who have supernatural power through the fallen angels who settled here among humans many years ago and now rule most of humanity behind the scenes, or are they regular human scumbags who want all the stuff for themselves and want to rule the people? Somebody seems to be creating havoc on planet Earth. If we were intelligent, wise, and good, we would have used our energy and resources to build a great planet for ourselves by now. There is a story that Nikola Tesla created wireless electricity, but his investor J.P. Morgan squashed it because he could not put a meter on it to make money continuously. Several weeks later, Tesla's lab in Colorado mysteriously burned down. Ralph Ring and Otis T. Carr said their crew built a flying vehicle that was able to fly without gasoline using some kind of anti-gravity technology. This would have nullified the need for cars, roads, and gas. They said that U.S. federal agents smashed their stuff twice, saying this vehicle will destroy the economy if it gets out. The human race is evil enough such that people stop its positive progress as a whole in order to make money for themselves. Nobody has a dictator-like grip on the entire planet yet. Klaus Schwab and his band of elitists at the World Economic Forum look like a bunch of pompous asses to me. To me, the climate change conference looks like a bunch of out-of-touch elitist powder puffs. They don't look like they rule the world. People don't bow down to them like they did in the past. They have lots of money and think they're as lost as anybody grasping at something for hope. The solution should be grassroots, a bunch of people coming to some common ground online then taking action. I think the first step is online democracy. The people establish an online voting agency in their countries, then they vote to do positive things like vote the military away, vote the security agencies away. Use that money for education, housing, and healthcare. See the movie A Bold Peace about people getting rid of their military to focus on helping people live better lives. The greatest strength of the New World Order elitists is control of the world monetary supply through control of the world banking system via privately owned central banks, where they create money out of nothing and lend it to governments and commercial banks, expecting this money back at compound interest. As long as people pay taxes, we are in slavery. The human race can do better than a one-dimensional fake system of democracy where fake representatives borrow money from banks who create it out of nothing and lend it to governments, expecting it back, while these representatives don't realize that this is a system of slavery, so they don't do anything about it. They collect their high paychecks and make connections to further enrich themselves while the people pay taxes and think this is a necessary system to get government services. We can do better than this. That should be the impetus of a worldwide protest that topples representative democracy to true democracy, online voting on all the big issues, and we get rid of all private central banks. Governments create their own money. They don't pay it back to anybody. This eliminates taxes. Secret societies trying to rule the world. 6. We can do better than this dinky system we're living under. Governments should stop paying banks money that the banks created from nothing. Create the money ourselves as the government for our needs, just don't create so much money that it causes inflation. Create money to stimulate the economy, but not so much as to devalue money. There is no debt, no taxes at all. We can do this, but the elitist greedsters keep us as brainwashed slaves. Almost nobody understands this. A few people coming forward to try to change this system will get creamed. If millions of people come forward, the system will change. We have the internet. We could do this if we can get past our bread, circuses, pop culture, sports, video games, etc. A list of secret societies. Rothschild Bank. Bank for International Settlements. The City of London Financial District. The Council on Foreign Relations. The Trilateral Commission. The Club of Rome. The Committee of 300. The Vatican. The Jesuits. The Annual Bilderberger Meeting. The Annual Bohemian Grove Meetings. The World Economic Forum. The Illuminati. The World Banking System. The Masons. Satanists. New World Order. Secret Society Resources. Secret Society Resources. Benjamin H. Friedman Speech 1961, Rumble.com. John Todd aka Lance Collins. youtube.com/@JohnTodd-XL2YW. John Todd, 9-hour video on YouTube called The Testimony of John Todd Lance Collins, all available tapes. Warrior of Jesus Christ. youtube.com/@warrior-of-Jesus-Christ. Nathan Reynolds. youtube.com/@Nathan Reynolds. Nathan Reynolds, The Linen Railroad. YouTube channel. A call for an uprising, Jesus, beginning, judgment. youtube.com/@unknown-ip1kk bitchute.com/channel/2jns6tzxi3yat. If you want to get really weird, listen to this guy. rumble.com/user/gray area operator. Jordan Maxwell. Chapter 2. Nathan Reynolds feels there is an evil spiritual force around. Nathan Reynolds talks about secret societies. This is a summary of Nathan Reynolds's material at the YouTube channel Nathan Reynolds, The Linen Railroad, and his website snatchedfromtheflames.com. Men and women are facing down the barrel of weapon more lethal than the most malicious dictator could have imagined. Fear is the tool being used to wage this endless war against the innocent. There is an orchestrated attack being waged on the souls of mankind. There is a radical intelligent evil stalking you in the darkness. From the first introduction to the prisons of institutionalized education, his presidents, popes, advisors, counselors, and economic hitmen have waged a war on the minds of the masses. They've filled our heads with worthlessness and blatant fallacies so that we cannot know to reject the evil and choose good. This world is in need of men who boldly refuse the king's commands. We must resist the ways of the wicked and become conquerors, refusing to sit by and watch our nations be destroyed. We have the right to overthrow these dictators. Authority on this earth is given by the true King and Sovereign of its creation, Yahshua the Messiah. The fallen angels are waging a war of infiltration and insemination of their insidious ideologies. Noah prepared an ark to save his house, through which he condemned the world and became heir of righteousness. Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he was about to receive as an inheritance. Others had trial of mockings and floggings, chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, tried, sawn in two, slain with the sword. We must refuse to let them win. Secret Society resources from snatchedfromtheflames.com/resources/reading-resources. Secret History, the Occult, Mind Control, Therapy, Testimonies and Trauma. What Witches Don't Want Christians to Know by Mary Lou Lake. Damon Dumar, The Last Harvest: A Secret History of Luciferian Aliens, the Illuminati and the Fate of Humanity. Expelling the Darkness by Russ Dizdar. The Black Awakening by Russ Dizdar. Genesis 6 Conspiracy: How Secret Societies and the Descendants of Giants Plan to Enslave Mankind by Gary Wayne. The Illuminati Formula Used to Create an Undetectable Total Mind Control Slave by Cisco Wheeler and Fritz Springmeier. War of the Ages by Gregory R. Reed. Eaters of Children: The Pedocracy Exposed by Johnny Sirici. Secret History by Johnny Sirici. Illuminati Unmasked by Johnny Sirici. Romans of Mass Destruction by Johnny Sirici. The Disciples of R.A. The Shocking Truth About Medicine, Vaccines, and Viruses by Johnny Sirici. The Gospel to Every Creature by John Darnell. Everything You Were Taught About American Slavery Is Wrong, Ask a Southerner by Lachlan Seabrook. Everything You Were Taught About the Civil War Is Wrong by Lachlan Seabrook. Genesis 6 Giants Volumes 1 and 2 by Stephen Quayle. Xenogenesis: A Future of Unimaginable Horrors Created for Our Planet by Unseen Masters by Stephen Quayle. Empire Beneath the Ice: How the Nazis Won World War II by Steve Quayle. True Legends: Native American Tales of Stargates, Giants, Bigfoot, and Skinwalkers by Stephen Quayle. L. A. Marzulli YouTube channel. Propaganda by Edward Bernays. 29 Doctors by Lisa George. The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. Game of Gods by Carl Tykrib. The Shinar Directive by Dr. Michael Lake. The Shirat Imperative by Dr. Michael Lake. The Kingdom Priesthood by Dr. Michael Lake. The Most Dangerous Book in the World: 9/11ths as a Mass Ritual. S.K. Bain. The Smiley Face Killers by William Ramsey. Prophet of Evil: Aleister Crowley, 9/11ths and the New World Order by William Ramsey. Children of the Beast: Aleister Crowley's Shadow by William Ramsey. Global Death Cult: The Order of Nine Angels by William Ramsey. Abomination, Devil Worship and Deception in the West Memphis 3 Murders, William Ramsey. The Psychic Battlefield: A History of the Military Occult Complex by W. Adam Mandelbaum. The Rise of the Fourth Reich: The Secrets That Threaten to Take Over America by Jim Marrs. The Search for the Manchurian Candidate by John Marks. The Wizards of Langley by Jeffrey T. Richelson. The CIA. Doctors by Colin A. Ross MD. The Edge of Evil: The Rise of Satanism in North America by Jerry Johnston. The Occult in Russian and Soviet Culture by Bernice Glaetzer Rosenthal. The Nazis and the Occult by D. Sklar. The Men Who Stare at Goats by John Ronson. The Occult Establishment by James Webb. The Franklin Cover-Up: Child Abuse, Satanism and Murder in Nebraska. Stained by Blood: A Murder Investigation by Douglas Hagman. The New Satanists by Linda Blood. Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare by Michael Hoffman. Ritual Crime Scene Investigation by Dawn Perlmutter. Secret, Don't Tell: The Encyclopedia of Hypnotism by Carla Emery. Programmed to Kill: The Politics of Serial Murder by David McGowan. Lucifer's Lodges: Satanic Ritual Abuse in the Catholic Church William H. Kennedy. Military Mind Control by Colin A. Ross. Hypnotism by G. H. Estabrooks. Exposing and Confronting Satan and Associates by Wendell Amstutz. Cults That Kill: Probing the Underworld of Occult Crime by Larry K. Henner. Warfare Strategy and History and Combat. War in the Shadows by Robert B. Asprey. The Discovery and Conquest of Mexico by Benel Diaz del Castillo. On Killing: The Psychological Cost of Learning to Kill in Society. The Jasons by Anne Finkbeiner. The Bear Went Over the Mountain by Lester W. Grau. Native American Almanac by Dennis Hirschfelder Rothenberger. The Shinar Directive by Dr. Michael Lake. Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley. The Anglo-American Establishment by Carol Quigley. The Psychic Battlefield: A History of the Military Occult Complex by W. Adam Mandelbaum. The Dead Sea Scrolls by Wise Abegg and Cook. Discovery of Ancient America by David Allen Deal. Genesis and the Extra-Biblical Biblically Endorsed Books: Jasher 1, Enoch and Jubilees by Rob Skiba.